I can't believe this. I'm right here in camp and I had no idea. You see that? There's 3 little eggs in there. I was just walking around out here and, because I'm right here in camp, and this bird just comes flying out of the grass. Like I almost stepped on it. He's right up there right now. Right up in there. So what I got to do is I got to mark that spot so I don't step on it and so I can keep the dogs away from it. That's crazy. I had no idea that birds would lay their eggs in the grass out here like that. So I'm going to get some, I guess just some logs and just kind of mark that area. That would ruin my day. Like if I stepped on those eggs, oh my God. I love being in nature, but sometimes it's like so dramatic. It just makes me so nervous for the wildlife out here. So I put these sticks around here, these logs. And so now I got to make sure that the bird comes back, that it's not afraid of the logs. Because, it's right in my camp. I don't want anything to happen to that while I'm here. Just crazy. This little bird just stays there and then hopes that nothing steps on its eggs. I don't get it, how nature works sometimes. There's all kinds of insects around here, ants and things like that, but then there's pronghorn coming through here pretty regularly. And I had an interesting encounter last night even with nature. An encounter, from a distance. I never saw what it was, but I was in bed sleeping and I woke up in the middle of the night and just this kind of like slight stench. And I thought, oh gosh, I need to take a shower, or is it the dogs? Like, are the dogs farting? And I couldn't narrow it down. And I got up out of bed and I thought maybe it was the sheets or my pillowcase. And I started walking around inside and it started to get a little bit stronger. And I thought, okay, well, it's permeating around here. And, I'm like half asleep trying to figure out what's going on. And I thought about it a little bit longer and I realized what it was. It was a skunk. And once I thought of that, I was like, that's exactly what it smells like. It smells like a skunk. Not like a skunk had sprayed, but just like, a stinky animal is like walking nearby. And I tried to kind of put the whole picture together. And because eventually the smell did dissipate. And when I got up in the morning, it didn't smell at all. I walked around the whole trailer and kind of looked underneath. And in the middle of the night, I did peek outside the door because I thought, oh, maybe I can see it. But then it's like, oh, you don't want to spook a skunk. That's going to be bad news. The dogs didn't seem to care at all. They didn't even really notice the smell. But it's my fault. What I did was I accidentally left the dog's water out last night, which is one of my favorite, like, simple Nomad tips. If you have dogs, do not leave water out, even during the daytime, unless, your dogs are outside and they're going to need the water. But whenever they don't need the water, then you need to put that water away. We're in Arizona. There's not a lot of water around. It's been raining, but the animals love the water. So I'm pretty sure that's what happened. That's why the skunk came around, was to get some water. The one other time that I did leave water out accidentally, the dogs were kind of going crazy and I looked outside and it was a little desert fox, which is, it's cute. It's like cool to see a fox come into camp. Foxes are just cool looking, but you don't want wildlife coming around to your camp for many reasons. Now I have this bird out here with 3 eggs that I got to monitor to make sure, that I didn't scare it off in such a way. You always hear about like, oh, don't mess with their nest because they're not going to come back. And so now I'm just like nervous about that. I got to watch this bird. The thing was, it flew up out of the grass and I was thinking, well, that's strange. Why would a bird be in the grass? Like as I walk up upon it like that, why would it be in the grass? And so I started thinking, I did find this little nest in the ground the other day. Right here, I found this nest. It was, fairly old. And I thought, well, that's strange. Like, it's not directly above a tree, but it could have come from this tree. And I saw this hole right here. And I started thinking, wait a second, are there grass nesting birds here? So then I think, well, I have to find the nest. So I kind of dug around through the grass carefully until I peeled up that little bit of grass. And I see these eggs. I'm like, there's its nest. So I kind of step back. I don't want the bird to think I'm messing with its little structure. I mean, that's all I could do, is I gotta locate it so I can mark it so I don't accidentally step on it, which would be the worst. And also so my dogs don't mess with it. My dogs have been roaming around here a lot, like just roaming around. Dodger, he's off the leash here mostly. Like Echo right now, he's tied up, and he's usually tied up here, but there's a lot of times where he's just kind of roaming around. You know, we get back from a hike and he'll just wander around camp for a little bit until I like feed them, and then I put him back on his lead. So they've had ample opportunity to go mess with that, and I'm really glad they didn't. Because you can see, I mean, the nest is like, that's where Echo lays on his bed, and the nest is like 20 feet from his bed. You know, I kind of think like, oh, maybe I should move so we don't disturb this bird's nest, but that's not going to do anything. It's better if I'm here, because once I leave, someone else is going to come here and they're not going to know the nest is there. And then they could accidentally step on it. God, that would be the worst, stepping on some eggs. Jeez. And Echo's been finding bones out here and chewing on them a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he found those eggs and just started munching them. We're hiking out to this tree right there, like just because it's kind of stands out, you know, visually. I was thinking what would be cool to find would be a tree that has been struck by lightning. And that's kind of what I thought maybe this is. Something awesome happened today. You know, in our little nomad life, things like this that I'm about to tell you are like the highlight of my day. Like, this made my day feel so much better. Because you all saw that bird nest that I found in the grass, like right in our camp. And I put some wood around it. And then I moved the wood because I didn't see that bird coming back. And so I moved the wood to make it a wider space around it. I thought, well, maybe that wood is like scaring it because it knows that that wasn't there before. And like it thinks that it was a trap or something like that. But this morning, I saw the bird, and the bird was just sitting on the ground on top of its eggs. So the bird is back, and that makes me feel really good. Now I'm just thinking, like, we got to leave this site in a few days. And if someone else pulls into that spot, then they're not going to know that nest is there, just like me. And, you know, they could step on the eggs, basically. So I'm thinking of all these ways to like, oh, I got to make a sign and stick a sign in the ground, but it has to be biodegradable. Like, I can't just wrap it in a Ziploc bag because then I'm creating trash. So I'm thinking of these ways to make a sign to kind of mark that spot. So the next camper that comes in, actually, now that I think about it, what I could do is I could just take some of that wood and put some little stakes in there and just write on it with a Sharpie and just say bird nest, and put the date on it. That would work. I think that would work. All right, let's check out this tree. Maybe it did get struck by lightning. What do you think? You must be sick, Echo. That's what everybody in the comments says. When you're sick, you eat grass. I don't think that's true. Both of my dogs eat grass, and they're not sick. I've tasted the grass, and it tastes good. Like, that's why they eat it, just because it's like a free treat that I let them eat. Oh, it's hollowed out on the side. Okay. So this tree was probably damaged, and then when they did the burn in here, then that just made it fall. Or something. Yeah, it's like all hollowed out. Is that a lightning strike? I've seen trees that have been struck by lightning before. And some of them are like really violent. You can just tell like it exploded. The people that say, oh yeah, your dogs are sick, that's why they're eating grass. I think, especially like when you live in the city and stuff, like, I think if you live out in nature, or out on a farm or something like that, your dogs eat grass all the time. And it's kind of like one of those old wives' tales, or whatever you want to call it. Like, what happens is the dogs eat the grass, and then if it doesn't come out their digestive system, they will throw it up. And like Echo did that the other night in the trailer again, and I just kind of move him to the linoleum so he doesn't make a mess, and then he throws it up in a big wad of like partially digested grass. And I think that's where we get the idea that, oh yeah, if your dogs are eating grass, then they're sick. What it is it makes them throw up because they eat too much of it, and it's not super digestible depending on how much they eat, or like how thick it is, or what type of grass it is. And they're picky about it. But yeah, I'm not convinced. What do you think? And speaking of getting sick, I had this really awesome thing planned, and I give it all away on Patreon. I'm not going to give it away here because hopefully it'll come together again in the future. But we were going to be interviewed by somebody who I was like super excited about. I was super excited. I was so excited, like so excited. And I don't know what happened, but about a week, or maybe a week, seven or 10 days before, I had to go into the Walmart, and I went inside the Walmart to do my shopping because I didn't arrange to do the pickup. And it was kind of a last minute decision. I was like, yeah, let me run in there. So I was in there for 45 minutes. Then a week later comes the date for our interview, and I got sick. And I haven't been sick in probably four years, something like that. And it was basically like a flu. It wasn't that bad, but there was one night that was really pretty bad. I slept miserably, and I just felt really sick. And so I didn't know what I had, and I didn't want to get the people sick that were going to interview us. And I could have done it. Like I felt, I was pretty miserable. I had a really, really bad headache. I was kind of nauseous and stuff like that, and tired, but I could have rallied and still done it. But the thought in my head was like, what if I get them sick? That's going to make me feel terrible. So I canceled like the day before. That was just a bummer. So I just wanted to note that like, as a nomad, I don't come into contact with people that much. And when I do, it's usually in the outdoors. I don't go into stores very often. I do go to Costco like maybe once a month, something like that. And when I do the Walmart groceries, I do the pickup service. So I rarely go inside the grocery store. And the main reason is, I'm not trying to like not get sick, but the main reason is just, I like being in the outdoors. And it kind of, when I go into these stores and stuff, you get different vibes. And sometimes I'm in the mood for that, but usually I'm not. So I try to avoid it as much as I can. So living that kind of lifestyle, I really have not gotten sick for at least 4 years. There were a couple nights where I did get some sort of food poisoning, and I think that had to do with either food that I got or how I prepared it, or I think my water tank maybe was kind of funky one time, something like that. Other than that, though, like I haven't caught any like viruses or cold or anything like that. So in a way, I don't know if that's good for my immune system to not be getting in contact with other people's illnesses and things like that. Maybe my immune system is getting weakened. I don't know. I just wanted to note that I haven't been sick except for that one time. And it was like the worst timing. The worst timing. It's raining now, if you can't tell. It feels good. Like, it's crazy though. Oh, it's kind of coming down. We got to get back to camp. I swear every time we go on a hike, something happens, and sometimes it can be more intense or more interesting than others. This was a kind of a cool moment. Just happened. We're just hiking through here, through the grass, just trying to get back to camp. And a bird comes flying up out of the grass, and Echo starts to kind of take off after it. He's on his leash. But that's what the bird does. The bird is like, get away from my nest. There's a nest right there. I'm not going to record it, but I kind of stepped around to make sure I didn't step on it. And I'm looking in there, and there's little baby birds in the grass. There's like a little nest and some grass that kind of comes over it. And there's like little birds with their mouth open in there, and they're being really quiet. I wish I could get it on camera, but I don't want to disturb them. I kind of think I could hear them. That is just crazy. Like, now I'm just like, I don't want to walk through this grass. I think one thing that I've learned is that they're in these open areas. At least the two that I've found, there's no tree cover around. And that must have to do with they like the sun or something like that, the heat. So I'm thinking as long as I walk where the trees are, then I won't have to worry about that. Can you imagine that? Not only like stepping on a bird's eggs, but like stepping on hatchlings. I mean, talk about ruining your day. I don't even want to think about that. Okay, from now on, we're gonna walk in this kind of grass where it's not big and tufty like that. I'm just sitting out here in my chair editing a video for you guys. And a while ago I released some videos about those campers that were like super messy. I mean, just crazy messy. Not messy's not even the word. Watch the videos and you'll see what I'm talking about. But one of you, I'm still trying to figure out, like I tried to message the person back. Somebody donated a bunch of money through PayPal, and that's like super nice, and they didn't leave much of a message. They just said to pay it forward. And so I've been thinking about that, like, what can we do here on the Got Out channel to pass that money on to somebody who needs it, you know, more than I do, or for a good cause, that kind of thing. So I'll keep thinking about that, but I wanted to shout out that person. I haven't even figured out the person's name yet. There's a name of their business, but I don't know if they want me to say the name of their business. So I just wanted to say thank you for doing that. I am thinking about how we can pay that forward. It's very kind of you. You know, I appreciate any support you guys can give us, comments, like, of course, if you subscribe, but hit that like button. Every time you hit that like button, that helps us out. And then down in the description, there's ways you can support us if you want to do that, if you want to go further. We have a Patreon page now where you can just pay a few bucks a month, and I've been posting updates and videos there. And I can chat with you. I can send messages directly to you. So if you have some sort of question, especially if it's about like locations where we're camped, then it makes more sense for me to communicate those kinds of bits of information that way one-on-one, so they're not like widespread here on YouTube. So that's a really good way to contact us, is on Patreon. I got to get back to editing. I've been trying to do 3 videos a week for you all, and I've been trying to even stick to certain days to post the videos. So today is Sunday, so I've been trying to post a video every Sunday, also every Tuesday, and then usually Thursday or Friday I post the third video. And you know, it's doable, but it does take a lot of time. I'm trying to make things a little bit more streamlined, a little bit easier for me, and at the same time create content that you all really like. So leave those comments, let me know what you do like, what you don't like, if you got any ideas or questions that you think I want to answer on the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.